the Graha Devatas, eventually you will need to transcend and get up to the Pradhana Devatas. These are not set to give you the required elevation in life. They do to an extent. They will set your life in the right path in a way that you can still. But yeah, there is a ceiling to what they can give you. Rudra. There are riks where Rudra is called an Asura and praised at the same time, not in a negative sense. Vamagne Rudro Asuro Mahodiva. So Asura itself also was not inherently entirely seen in a negative sense. Now, you have, just because we have devotion, we are not beyond the principles that operate in the world and in our life. Whatever act, it's also how our Purushartha is there, what course of action we have taken in our own life, what preferences we have put for ourselves, how we are operating.
Namaste everyone. Another weekend, another episode of my conversations with Shankara Bharadwaj Thandavali. This time we are continuing the conversation on Devatas, and we will pick up from the last time. And I have had a lot of questions. These questions may be very naive, childish, almost sometimes. But being who I am, I will ask them even at the cost of sounding silly or with all the embarrassment. But these are questions I do need answers for, and I'm hoping that you all will also, maybe have these same questions, and hopefully they get answers. So I sent you some questions, and so I'll sort of go through them and then maybe start anywhere you like, or maybe we can pick one string up and start from there. So yeah, so why do auspicious and inauspicious times occur in a day? Rahu Kala is what I'm talking about. I mean, if there is this one energy principle, and like you mentioned last time, that there are devatas and all leading, sort of coming down, if you like, in lower and lower forms from the same energy principle and the Shiva and Shakti principle, then why have auspicious and inauspicious times? Aren't all times auspicious? And the other question that comes to mind is that are all the devatas, are they limited in terms, in quotes, in terms of, and I asked this last time as well, can they only offer specific things? For example, if they're the same energy principle, then can I go to Saraswati and ask for Shakti to fight a battle? Or must I go to Bhavani and go to Saraswati for asking for knowledge? Why are there angry devatas? For example, there is fear centrality around, say for example, Shani Devata. And it's especially in North India. It's you go to Shani Dev temples and it's full of. I find at least my relationship of going to Shani Devata temples. I was going through a tough time 10 years ago, and everybody would tell me go to a Shani Mandir, and I just find all the rituals, everything fear-based. And that sort of reminds me of the Christian God or Allah punishing ideas. And I've had very, very big difficulties in going to a Shani temple. I did a few times and I could not manage anymore, no matter what the consequence was. And I just continued with my own Kriya, which Sadhguru taught me, and I'm fine.
It's not exactly fear. Let us say we have different worlds. So the Swarga is there, the world of illumination, illumined mind, and then you have a world of mains or the Pitra Devatas. Then above the Swarga, you have the Maharloka, where the intelligence principle operates, not the world of mind. And then you have the Ananda, Tapas, and then Satyaloka, all these things. So it's all contextual, what we are talking of, at what world it belongs and how it operates, how those principles operate. So, Shani, obviously, yes, people, in fact, it's not, even if people say that these grahas are more recent and all these things, even in the Veda related rituals, we find this so-called appeasement of devatas, where you pray to them, asking them not to do any harm. Or if they, people, especially the scholars, Indologists, talk of these in different ways. They say there are some fierce ones, they are feared to be doing harm. Let's say some Vinayakas were there, or Rudra is there, or Yama is there. So they are worshipped more in a appeasing way, so that they don't do any harm. Now, is that true? At some level, yes. It all again depends not on that form, but more on our own elevation, where we currently stand. So let us say if we are living our life and we have seen good and bad, we want to avoid the bad. And that is the common thing that anybody does. And to avoid that bad, you probably try to worship some form and do some specific ritual saying this is done, and therefore I want to avoid the harm. So what kind of principles are these? You can have obstacles, you can have lack of success, or you can have unexpected loss or harm. All these at the ultimate level, if you see as a principle of action, all these are not exactly accidental. These are happening because we have put ourselves in a condition where that is happening. And in that situation, what are we doing to avoid it? Yes, a lot of people worship Shani. There are specific timely rituals that can be done to avoid certain harm. Or make sure that it is not coming in that magnitude, the harm is minimized in a way that we can sail through difficulties. In fact, there are so many suktas in the Veda itself saying, let us say, Durga Sukta is there. Nave vasandham durutat yagni. Just take me like in a ship sailing smoothly through the ocean of happening, so that I don't feel all those ups and downs and all. Now, the same principle operates also as a, let us say, just take it one level up. The same Devata is Bhavatarini. She is actually making you cross the ocean of happenings. That becoming that whole cycle she's taking you through that. A level below, the same thing looks like, no, I have a difficulty. She is helping me cross these difficulties. So it's basically at what level are we looking at, and what level we are operating, not the level at which the Devata is operating. So each being based on his own evolution. So let us say there are Yagnikas, people who conduct proper rituals, and they live a life of a yajna. They live life as a yajna. For them, all these don't matter, right? They don't do very specific things to many. They believe in very few ultimate principles. They conduct those rituals according to those principles. And they expect that whatever small things, ups and downs happen, they are part and parcel of life. And they are assured that at the higher level, they have no harm that can happen to them.
Correct.
So it's a question of how much we are evolved. We are evolved to that point, yeah, we don't care about all this. Or even in that case, maybe there could be some exceptional situations, acute situations where you may want to do those things.
Yeah, but why would so you gave a good example of, worshipping or doing a mantra jap or a yagya of the Devi, specifically asking for, like a smooth sailing ship, other things. Now that completely makes sense, right? That's actually, so the Devi represents all of life, all creation to me. Now, of course, I have, I would obviously go and ask the Devi for help. And I shared with you last time that, Conversations with God did this very beautiful thing for me. It said that replace this word with weighted word, if you like, with lots of weight, with the word life. The relationship completely changes in that, right? You just look up, and I go out and stand in front of the night sky and say, I need help, this is a problem, and that's all. I just let it be. And then if there is some help that comes, the great, and usually it does, right? Even at my level, and things resolve themselves. But the difficulty was, and here is an anecdote, right, for you. So to resolve my conundrum, there is a Mata Amritanandamayi ashram near my home, and if I think it was one of the Shani Amavasyas, which is supposedly very popular, very auspicious or something like that, if you do Shani Devta Puja. Very interestingly, at the Amritanandamayi ashram, they have a Shivalinga, one, and out of the 4 mukhas, one of them is a Shani Devata. So for me, the relationship with Shiva is completely different. It is non-fear based. And so for me to go and ask for something over there is not a problem at all. And I think she changed the relationship, or the ashram changed the relationship. They actually, I don't know, for some, just out of the blue, I got an SMS saying that on so-and-so date, we are conducting doing a Shani Puja. And do remember that Shani Devata is nothing but a manifestation of Shiva himself. Okay, now that suddenly changed my relationship. And here I went to the ashram to do Aradhana of Shiva, basically. Right? So while they were doing Charan of Shani Devata, I was doing it, but in my mind it was the Shivalinga or Shiva behind it. And so you see what I'm trying to communicate. Instead of fear, going to a Shani temple with everybody quiet, the atmosphere is so heavy. I find it so heavy and unnerving. And instead of that, here is what I did. I don't know if it gave me turned things or gave me the results or no, but just the relationship changed. Why would we then actually go to Navagrahas or do this? Why not just say the higher principle?
Nothing wrong will happen. A little bit here or there, anyways, always happens in life, and then things go on. You do the right things at the right time, and so let us say you have a scheme of your own proper Deva Yajna and all that. You have the 5 Pradhana Murtis and you are worshipping all of that. The Dikpalakas, Lokapalakas, whatever installations you do, that keeps happening. If that is done, then all these don't matter. But there are lifestyles where this doesn't happen in majority of cases.
I don't understand. Explain to me. Also, I don't understand Lokpalakas or Deepalakas. I don't know.
Okay, you have this scheme of devatas, right? There are the Dikpalakas, the 10 directions. You have devatas ruling those. Then you have the 5 Lokapalakas, right? Let us say the Rudra, Ganapati, Gauri, Vishnu, and Brahma.
Okay.
Or the Panchayatana is there, the 5 main forms, Pradhana Devatas. So these, if they are worshipped, it is said that they include everything else. So you do that, and then probably everything else is implicit in that. And then there is a more elaborate scheme where, as components of these things, you invoke the Dikpalakas, Lokapalakas, Graha Devatas, the Vishwa Devatas, everybody. So let us say the daily yajna is done, the Agnihotra, all these devatas are propitiated every day. These, because this is very elaborate and not many people can do that, this has been condensed to say that only a few main forms, let us say your Panchayatana, you do that and then everything is implicit and taken care of. But how much of that dilution and condensing can actually work for you in real life, where we have not taken care of certain principles in our life? Those are going to come back and bite us.
What do you
It's
mean?
not some devata is not pleased or anything, because devata is a principle of life ultimately. If we are not, if we have worshipped that as the whole, the entire scheme of life, and every part of it is taken care of. If it is not so, you have probably concentrated only on one principle. You have been running after money. You could be worshipping, not worshipping, but that is the one principle you have worshipped in your life. There are other principles whose side effects are going to come back at you. Now, in what form are you going to make up for that? These rituals are one aspect of that. Not exactly that do this worship, but
I mean, but propitiating a devata fixes it. But even if you do not fix the other parts of your life, or are you saying that propitiating a devata will naturally cause our energies also potentially to find balance naturally inside our system, which perhaps takes me to the point about maybe later to chakras and to Anand Venkatraman's talk
if you
about
say God is
principles in
life,
our
if you
brain.
just going by your thing, if you say God is life, obviously in life that principle has entered. In your life, that principle has entered now.
What principle? No.
Whichever that form you are currently worshipping.
Yeah, okay.
So whatever is missed out and you are now, so these are all corrective measures, right? So these are specifically done for when there is a dosha. If you are following the regular Shrauta or Smarta form of life, or even Agamic, your worship would involve all these things anyway, right? I mean, people actually, let us say there is a Shani thing. There also people have different ways of doing it. Some people directly go do that Tailabhisheka or whatever, or some people get some japa done. Or some people actually go one level up, because each graha has a Adhidevata and Pratyadhidevata. So if you worship Rudra and that is part of your life, there is no specific need, additional need for you to go to worship Shani in a specific form or in the form of Shani. That is all there. Now, but have you been doing this in your life or not is the main question. Suddenly one day you wake up and this problem comes. Then you start Shiva Puja, this may or may not go away in a day. It may take years together.
Okay.
So you need quick solutions. This will work.
Okay. Right. So I was talking to my friend in Kerala. I don't know if I should name him because this will be a public talk. So very, very interestingly, he told me something and about we were thinking about a project to actually build fresh new temples. And we were, I mean, he mentioned that the prana pratishtha of the devata of the temple must be done very powerfully, so that it can actually grant wishes very quickly and alleviate problems of people and all of that. And then he said something very interesting. Maybe we can look at Yakshinis, the temples of Yakshinis, because they're very quick to give a boon. They may be all small things in life, my marital life improve, my bachche ki education or something, but they're very quick to give blessings and all of that. So he said that might be a good way to incorporate, rejuvenate the Hindu society, or even non-Hindus to start coming and asking for blessings. So that's a project. So as an attraction, yes, quick fix solutions.
So that is what all these Shirdis and all these are anyway, right? I mean,
Shirdi, sorry.
It's also like that, no? People feel very easily connected to it because they think they pray for something and they have this kind of, and then things come true, all these things. And that's one example. A lot of these places.
Yeah, but Shirdi Sai Baba is who you're talking about, is it?
Yes.
Oh, in the same space, is it?
Yeah.
Same space. Okay.
The question is whether there is transcendence there or not. So eventually these devatas, the graha devatas, eventually you will need to transcend and get up to the pradhana devatas. These are not set to give you the required elevation in life. They do to an extent. They will set your life in the right path in a way that you can still, but yeah, there is a ceiling to what they can give you. So ultimately, what is the, that probably also was your other thing, right? Do they have limitations? Certain forms do have limitations. Yakshas, they do have limitation in what they can give you. Gandharvas, they have limitations. Devatas also have. Devatas in the sense of the Swarga. They will eventually, but certain forms, like let us say Rudra or Vishnu, they scale all the worlds. So you start with even this level, with the same form, you can eventually transcend to all the levels. So that is why the Pradhana Devatas are important. You catch on to them and then you're set. You don't need to change your course or anything.
Okay.
And whatever course change is required, they will bring that change anyway. So you make your first connect and then you're taken care of.
So I'll make another comment. This is my conversation with Anuradha Goyal, and she said something very interesting of in detail. She's a friend of mine. Of course, we've met. And Anuradha said that actually, if you're on the right spiritual path, Shani never causes problems. Actually, the problems come in from Shani Devata only because he wants you to come on the spiritual path.
Right.
And so it's a push to, problems are a push to humankind to come on the spiritual path. Very interesting comment, I thought.
So karma and vichara, right? So if they are to set those right, I think Shani operates. But yeah, again, that is not a new phenomenon. Again, it's not as if it became a cult later or whatever. Yama was a principle, Rudra was a principle. These principles were seen with certain level of fear, but at the same time, there was devotion. Where there was devotion shown by devotees, they actually come at you in a very positive way also. It's not as if they are inherently bad. Their portfolio in the scheme of things is like that. So it's but ultimately they are divine.
Kamakshi temple is one of my favorite temples, South Indian temples near my home, and it has a very, very pleasant Murti Vigraham of Ganpati. And I recently read that there are some Vigrahas or in Indonesia, in Bali, if I'm not wrong, was it Bali or was it Indonesia? That in some, of course, Bali is Indonesia, but I read somewhere in Southeast Asia, some form of Ganpati is actually considered malefic. So how can Ganpati, the same Devata, be somebody who removes
the same Devata? Actually, there are infinite forms. There are several Vinayakas. Some are feared also. In fact, these are all a bit fluid. In the Puranic scheme, things look a bit different. But if you let us say Rudra, there are riks where Rudra is called an Asura and praised at the same time, not in a negative sense. Vamagne Rudro Asuro Mahodiva. So Asura itself also was not inherently entirely seen in a negative sense. I think we were discussing this last time also. they also come in the same scheme. In this sense, in this context, the word is used because he's seen as powerful and great, not as a malefic. But there are certain Vinayaka forms that were feared also. Now, Yama is there. Yama is he just death? Yes and no, right? There is that, definitely the death aspect is there. But again, if you go one level up, it is not just about death. It is life cycle inherently involves termination also. So if you have understood the principle of life cycle, and then you are duly worshipping or propitiating Yama, obviously you will have to propitiate Yama along with Varna and Indra and Kubera. If we have that big picture, then this will not be seen as negative. But if our life, for some reason, our whatever our lifestyle could be, our level of elevation could be, if we don't see that, we see only a narrow part of what life is. Life means earning money or being happy, just these things. Then obviously these principles are going to haunt us as undesirable. Or if we see the big picture, obviously just the way all the other principles operate, the Indra or Varuna, Mitra, we also require to leave this body to take another new form. No form can sustain us or help us achieve our goals of the being. The being has its own goals. I mean, the body has limitations, so it has to be thrown away. You need to take another body, and you have that craving internally. It's just that we have not identified ourselves as our own jiva. So in that sense, we will start seeing Yama in a positive light. So all these obstacles that come, or all the harm that comes, it is because at certain level it is undesirable that we start fearing these forms. And then we'll have to work around those. We need to do some appeasement, all these things. So it's again about that evolution coming in us as we do these forms of worship, and do we get that right perspective?
So, okay, so just going back to Ganpati.
Vinayakas, again, they could be creating obstacles in your life. They could be, there could be things, harm. I mean, Rudra also, right? Rudra's darts can harm you as well as they can benefit you, based on which way things are directed and how you are disposed to that principle. So the same Rudra who heals us can also throw the darts. Now, you have, just because we have devotion, we are not beyond the principles that operate in the world and in our life. Whatever act, it's also how our Purushartha is there, what course of action we have taken in our own life, what preferences we have put for ourselves, how we are operating. So you have lived an unhealthy lifestyle, you are going to get a health problem. You call it Rudra's dart or you call it anything. So even in a common sense way, these things can be explained. The principle that is operating in the world or in the life in nature that is causing this effect to come to us, you can personify it as a devata and try to propitiate. So obviously, Ganpati also has, the malefic forms are there, fierce forms are there, pleasant forms are there, all forms are there in Ganpati also.
So is that specific to Ganpati? I mean, that could be any devata, right? They all have pleasant and fierce forms. Would it be?
Yes.
Yes, it's all of them. So when you're doing a prana pratishtha of, say, Ganpati, the sankalpa of which form of Ganpati, or which, either a malefic form, with one which you want to propitiate to get hindrances away, or a benevolent version of Ganpati, that depends on the sankalpa of who is establishing the prana pratishtha.
The seers that are doing it, yes.
Okay. Now, so in that case, then why is the form of Ganapati itself important? Why not just a stone and you establish? Why is the form important at all? You just say whatever is the form that this, I mean, maybe just a shape of a, I don't know, a rock. Why is the elephant head important, for example, in that case? Or why not just any other form and say the energy of this Vigraham is so and so. It is to for you to appease so that you get rid of so and so harm, or it is a benevolent version for you. So basically, then you're saying that it doesn't matter whether it is Devi or Rudra or Ganapati, they just have malefic forms and benevolent forms. Is that
Not
what you're
just
saying?
malefic, benevolent. It can be anything. It could be fierce, it could be pleasant, it could be valorous form. There could be Abhaya, let us say Anjanaya. There could be Bhakta Anjanaya, Varada Anjanaya. We could have countless forms.
Yes.
It's basically what the seers are saying. This is the form currently required in this area for this, for the benefit of the surroundings.
Is it the benefit of the surroundings, or it is just established for I don't know, maybe just for people to come and access? I mean, it could be anything. Or is it actually thought of because of the surroundings?
No, it's not just mankind. That's the level at which seers operate, right? I mean, we may be looking at ourselves, but the rishis don't look at just this. They look at the whole universe. And as part of that, when they look at a certain place, they take into consideration everything: the human well-being, the eco well-being, the animals, plants, all forms of life.
But isn't
They see that place as an energy center, right? That place is an energy center.
But isn't the kshetram, the circle
yes.
of influence of the temple, only limited to a certain area?
Yeah, and it depends. Certain kshetras, it is vast. Certain kshetras, it is limited to that temple. So, I mean, that is a lived reality, right? I mean, certain kshetras, you go there. Rama Kshetra, you will see the monkeys coming. Devi Kshetra, Shyamala Kshetra, you go, you find parrots coming there. So it's not as if these are all unrelated. The various forms of life and the ecology there always have certain relations.
Beautiful.
And when you talk of divinity as a universal force, all these, it will include everything. It will not just look at mankind. And in the well-being of the whole ecosystem, things will work. And for that, what form is the most suitable form that will be installed there? It could be a fierce form. Let us say Pratyangira is there, or Veerabhadra is there. So those forms will be installed, and access also will be limited in certain ways. Not everybody goes in just any, like you go to a Jyotirlinga. Certain rituals are done there, and certain times are there. So specific forms will have specific restrictions. And then there are universal, like the Jyotirlingas. People go, all kinds of people go at all times. There are no restrictions there. So both exist side by side.
Why do restrictions exist? Or why are they needed?
Okay, this relates to the other question, that the auspicious, inauspicious times are there. Why are they? And so practices, times. So everything has a time-space context. There are things beyond time-space context. You go to certain universal form and say that just cause my elevation. You don't know what exactly elevation means at that point, or what it. But yeah, that seed would have been put into your heart, and then things would shape up into a tree, maybe in the course of one life or several lives. We never know. But then there are specific things which have time and space constraints, and say within this time, this space you operate, and to get this specific result. There you will have a modus operandi, right? There will be, so in fact, the Veda itself has the whole Kalpa Sutras, where the time and space of ritual is there, the shape of the altar is there. There are very specific details about everything, about each of those rituals. And Okay, we will take a very simple example. It is said you have sun protecting you in the day, you have moon protecting you in the night. There are times when neither of these are there. So nobody is protecting you. You have to protect yourself with your own mantra so that the Devata can come and protect you. Is it that a time when both of these are not there, is it inauspicious? Maybe, maybe not. But it is basically saying that, yeah, at that time, these things are not available for you. You will need to make your alternate arrangements. It is as simple as that. Where you have a protecting force operating and where it is not there, what you need to do. Nighttime, there is no light. You need to make your own arrangements to be able to see. Or maybe you should not technically need light, so set your lifestyle in a way that you don't need too much of night light, whatever it is. So this is ultimately a life lesson, right? And then if you are doing certain things beneficial, you need certain things beneficial, you need to do some, put in extra efforts. You do some kamya ritual, then you get that benefit. And if you really need it, you need to follow the method. If you have to get a promotion in your office, you need to do certain things and do certain things on that certain way only to please certain people only. It's not as if you think something is good and automatically it will result in an elevation. So obviously, though, more than calling them restrictions, they are the right things that land you in the right situations. Practicing those. Coming to time, is time auspicious or inauspicious? Does it exist? In a way, it does.
Like Rahu
in a
Kal.
way,
Like Rahu Kal every day.
Same principle applies. We were actually discussing the other context, right? The divine day is, let us say, if we map it to our year, there is a daytime, there is a nighttime, there is a sandhya time. There is a pure dark period when the divine completely goes into sleep and there is nobody to protect us. Then there are there are additional rituals done like the Navratri pujas, all those things. So there are times where there is no such divine principle actively protecting us. You can call it inauspicious or whatever. But that is the time when your own effort, manual effort will come.
How can there be any time when the divine is not operating? It's operating all the time in us, in all the world around, constantly.
No, these are two different contexts, right?
Okay.
At the ultimate level, yes, whatever is operating through you is also divine, which is also sleeping every day and waking up.
Correct.
So if it is there at this level, it could be there that level also. Brahma also has a sleep and waking hours. So it's not as if divine, just because it is divine, it doesn't have any times when it does not operate in certain ways. In us also, let us say, is it awakened? No, it is not awakened. We are trying hard to awaken that principle, but it is. We know that we are ultimately not enlightened people. So that principle can be dormant in you. It's not. It is latent in everything at every time. That is true. That does not mean it is operating actively at all times in all beings. So to awaken it is what all this Devayajna, that the rituals are there. I mean, whether it is bhakti or yoga, whatever practices we do, it is all trying to keep it awakened as much as possible. So that again, similarly, just like in the year, within the day also, we will have those periods when certain activities are most fruitful. They say you study in the early hours, it will work out well. If you study in the midday, it's not just as fruitful as in the early hours. Is it about auspiciousness of time? You can put it, it's just a matter of language or how we are putting it. But those principles are operating.
So I'll give you one example. Actually, the first time I really came face to face with Rahu Kal was I have been through the Sri Ravi Shankar Art of Living courses, and I did the advanced course as well many years ago. And somewhere during my basic course and perhaps the advanced course, there was a Maharudra Puja. I think it was on one of the on the Mahashivratri, and morning time somewhere nearby they were doing a puja, and we landed up over there. All about maybe 50-80 people gathered to do the Maharudra Puja, and then they said they realized that it was not the right time to start the puja, and so we waited for an hour and a half for the Rahu Kal to pass before the Rudra Puja started. I could not understand that. It is for Shiva. I mean, the highest principle, and
Can be. Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, it is just like your study time, right? It's not, can look at the deeper principle or whatever, but we know that this is a very empirically verifiable fact. When you are studying, you are able to concentrate in certain hours, not in certain hours. When we are doing work, we are productive in certain hours, we are not productive in certain hours. Our body is suitable to it in certain hours and it is not in certain hours. Why is that not true in case of the ritual is the simple question. Ritual also will have its own suitable times and suitable methods of doing. Midnight, there are certain midnight pujas also. There, the method is different, the invocation is different. They also happen. In fact, Shivratri people do that anyway, but there are also many specific nighttime rituals that happen. Now again, I mean, all these, how much it's not a question of belief, right? How many factors can you practically consider in life while doing something? It may just not be feasible for us to look at everything every time. Every day, can I look at Rahu Kala and start my ritual? I can't. I will have my own limitations. But when I am doing something Kamya, let us say once in a year, that I better do in the right time because I should be. It's as simple as that. That Jyotisha is there, the timings are the Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra, all those things are there, right? I mean, there are certain Tithis more suitable for Shiva Puja, certain Tithis are more suitable for Devi Puja, all these things, they are there. Now, does it mean it is inauspicious in that time to do something else? It depends. It depends on the level at which we are operating. Let us say it is a Pradhan Devata and ultimately we are not desiring for anything other than just being able to do that. No, doesn't matter. If there is a Kamya, we have a specific Sankalpa, you are doing it either for, let us say, Loka Kalyana or any specific cause, or maybe just for rains or whatever, then definitely we need to follow the time and space and that method of ritual. Or you can do your ritual, you think just your worship or your dhyana anytime. There is no time space restriction for that. But the moment a Kamya comes, the time space restriction also comes because it is for that specific purpose.
Got it.
So in fact, I mean, we are the only civilization that say that all days are auspicious, right? We have the Shri Tithi, Nitya Devatas, 15 Devatas for each day in the fortnight. In the Shri Vidya, I think you have those lists, Nitya Devatas. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, everything is divine, it's a given. That is also visible in all these things. We mention the Tithi, Vara, and for everything we say Shubha Tithi, Shubha Nakshatra anyway, right? It's not as if we call it Ashubha Tithi and then we do it. Every Sankalpa that we do, you say that it is auspicious and then you're doing it. So yeah, these are two different things. When we desire something, we better follow the method. It is as simple as that. Does the Devata get angry if you do it in the wrong time? Maybe. I mean, that is again, it gets a bit technical. You do certain practices that are very technical, you go wrong there will be results. Obviously, everything that you do wrong will have a consequence. In fact, certain rituals, they say, yeah, you do this, the devata will get angry, which means you should absolutely not do that. It doesn't tell as much about the devata as emphasizing that you should not do it. Right? So when we are doing it, we better do it diligently, the right way, right things. Do devatas punish? At the level of karma, if you are talking at the level of karma principle, there is no devata anywhere. It's basically all you are doing. But in case there are certain rituals that we are doing for specific purposes, let us say, or you are living life in certain way. Forget puja. Even if we are living life in certain way, we are doing certain things right and certain things wrong. And whatever we are doing wrong, those principles are also what we are wronging are also principles of divine. They are going to eventually manifest as bad effects in our own life. So it will be termed as a dosha of towards certain devata or certain graha. So then probably you show to some Siddhanti, he will say, yeah, there is, you would have done this kind of dosha is there, you need to propitiate so and so devata. And Jyotisha itself is a karma siddhanta based, right? And it's karma phala siddhanta. It is only telling you, I mean, Jyotishas or the Jyotishis also keep telling us all the time, we don't control your future as much as, so it's more like a watch. It will tell you what is going on. Now it is up to you to change the course of your life and make it more fruitful and happy for yourself.
So it's a possible direction based on where you are now.
Exactly.
Including, I've heard that the time at which you show up to the Jyotisha, yes, also.
Yes.
It's almost
you might
as
be
if
running a bad time. That's why you landed now instead of in a better time. Yes.
It's almost like saying that you're in parallel universes all the time, and where you land up, there are multiple versions of yourself, and then they're picking up the energy of where is this version headed.
Yeah. And at the ultimate level, devata has no likes, dislikes, or anything. But when you bring it down to a context, let us say a specific form, and say that, I mean, that is why people usually recommend just go to a pradhana devata or a major form, which can be transcendental. Now, there are very fierce forms, let us say, Chinnamasta or Kali, or there are Veerbhadra, there are specific forms, Sharabha is there, which are fierce forms also. It's not as if, again, no devotee sees them as that, right? No devotee is afraid of them. Or can they get angry is again how you see it. Does Yama get angry? That is why he punishes? No, he doesn't get angry. He just does what he has to do. So it is a divine principle expressed in certain way. Let us say time is there. Time as a destroyer is always going to be terrible or terrifying. Time in the sense of indiscrete or a continuous sense, that will be a very happy thing to, I mean, once you have transcended. So that is where Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also says, no? Ultimately, when you go to her, you will realize there is no color, there is nothing, it is not a terrifying form at all. So the same form can be terrifying or non-terrifying based on at what level we are looking at it. Because the same description, let us say the descriptions that we apply, the dhyana slokas that we see, the same exact descriptions apply when you see the devata as a parabrahma. The same dhyana sloka will work. Ultimately, it has no taste, but it has a taste. I mean, all the Upanishadic thing, right? It is this, but it is not this. It is all this and more than this. That kind of descriptions. All of them apply to all these major Devata forms. They can give you moksha, or also they can grant you abhyudaya or whatever, based on at what level we currently stand.
That's possibly to do with if you're on the pravritti or nivritti marg, as Sino Josephji in her talks mentioned. So maybe we'll pick up this conversation from somewhere there,
Yes.
and then lead into some other aspects, some other questions that I have, and maybe I'll keep making you move round and round in circles, answering the same thing over and over again. So let's meet in the next session, and maybe we'll pick up this conversation from where we are leaving off. Sankar.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay.